For a long time, we thought that learning was a strictly rational process. We now know that emotions play such an important role that they can serve as a lever or, on the contrary, become a brake on learning. First, let's note that an emotion is a reaction of the organism to an external event that includes physiological, cognitive, and behavioral aspects. Our emotions help us identify the elements that can affect us and then guide us on how to react to them to preserve our well-being. Pleasant or not, all emotions are useful. Learning is questioning what we thought we knew, opening ourselves to new ideas and more complexity, and putting in effort without necessarily knowing the outcome. In other words, learning is destabilizing. And despite its positive emotions, this process cannot protect us from all negative ones. The emotions experienced in learning vary from one person to another and can affect different stages of this process. They can have a positive or negative impact on attention, motivation, learning strategies, and the ability to self-regulate as a learner. Anxiety, fear of failure, embarrassment, discouragement, and boredom are among the negative emotions that can interfere with the learning process. Positive emotions that have a beneficial effect on the learning process include pleasure in learning, enthusiasm for the learning material, hope for success, and pride in accomplishment. It is not because an emotion is positive that it necessarily favors the learning process. To do so, it must be related to learning in general or to a learning task. Otherwise, it can interfere with attention and affect performance. Self-confidence and placing value on the tasks accomplished is essential to experiencing the full range of positive emotions related to learning and to preventing or reducing the occurrence of negative emotions. However, just because an emotion is negative does not mean it is always an obstacle for the learner. Anxiety, embarrassment, or anger can actually motivate the learner to redouble their efforts. The intensity and frequency of the emotion felt also has an impact. If it is too strong or recurrent, it may lead to feelings of helplessness. The emotional state of the teacher can also influence the learner. A large Canadian study found a contagion effect of teacher stress on students. This is part of the larger family of emotional contagion, a partly genetic process involving our mirror neurons by which we unconsciously imprint ourselves with the emotions of others. Emotions have a considerable influence on memory. It is what makes us remember emotionally charged events better. Neuroscience has shown that in order to encode learning, the brain needs feedback on its predictions, specifically an error signal that should make the learner feel surprised. In e-learning, various communication tools, as well as video scenes, can help bring out emotions that promote learning. As for virtual reality, which is increasingly integrated into training, experiments indicate that it could be used to stimulate empathy. Finally, because they are conducive to stimulating exchanges and surpassing oneself, learning environments of any kind are often a formidable ground for developing emotional skills.